We're on today. All right. Text 14. Iti Uchivan Tatra Suyodena Avridha Kopa Spurhita Adharena Asat Krita Sat Sprihaniya Shila Shata Sa Karna Anuja Subalena Ityuchivam Statra Suyodanena Pavrita Kopas Puritadarena Asatkrita Sat Sprihaniya Shila Shata Shakarna Nuja Subalena Ityuchivam Statra Suyodanena Pavrita Kopas Puritadarena Asatkrita Sat Sprihaniya Shila Shata Sakarna Nuja Subalena Ityuchivam Statra Suyodanena Pavrita Gopas Paritadarena Asatkrita Sat Sprihaniya Shila Shata Shankarna Nuja Subalena
Yuchivam Statra Suyodhanena
Statra
Avridhakopas Puritadarena
Gopas Paritadarena
Satkrita Satvihaniya Shila
Asatkrita Sat Sprihaniya Shila
Shatasakarnanuja Sobalena
Ityuchivang statra suyodanena Pravidakopas Puritadarena Asatkrita Satsprihaniya Shila Shata Sakarnanuja Sobalena
Ityuchivam Satra Suyodhanena Pravridha Kopa Spuritadarena Asatkrita Sat Sprihaniya Shila Shata Sakarnanuja Sobhalena
Ityuchivam statra suyodanena Pravridhakopa Spuritadarena Asakrita satsprihaniya shila. Kshata sakarn anuja sobalena.
Shishigurnatai ki jai.
Ityuchivanštatra sujodanena
Suyodanena
pravritha kopas puritatharena
Avidakopaspavitatarena
asatkrita satsprihaniya shilaha
Asakrita sats nitaniya shila
kshata sakarnanuja sobalena
Satasa
Iti uchivam statra suyodanina
Yutivam status Suyodanena
pravrida kopa spirita darena
Avidakopaspavitatarena
asat sat spiraniya shila
Sakrita sats nitaniya shila
shatat sakarna nuja sabalina
Karnanuja sobalena ityuchivam tatra suyodanena pravridikopas puritadarena asatkrita satsprihaniya shila shata sakarnanuja sobalena
Ityuchivam statra suyodanena pravrida kopa spiritadarena asatkrita satsprihaniya shila kshata sakarna nuja sobalena.
Iti, thus, Ujivan, while speaking, Tatra, there, Suyodanina, by Duryodhana, Pavridha, swollen with, Kopa, anger, Spita, flapping, Adarena, lips, Asatkrita, insulted, Sat, respectable, Sprihaniya Shila, desirable qualities, Shata, Vidura, Sa, with, Karna, Karna, Anuja, younger brothers, Subalina, with Shakuni. Translation and purport given by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. While speaking thus, Vidura, whose personal character was esteemed by respectable persons, was insulted by Duryodhana, who was swollen with anger and whose lips were trembling. Duryodhana was in company with Karna, his younger brothers, and his maternal uncle, Shakuni. I'll read that again, the last sentence. Duryodhana was in company with Karna, his younger brothers, and his maternal uncle, Shakuni. Purport: it is said that by giving good counsel to a foolish person causes the fool to become angry, just as feeding milk to a snake only increases its venomous poison. Saint Vidura was so honorable that his character was looked up to by all respectable persons. But Duryodhana was so foolish that he dared to insult Vidura. This was due to his bad association with Shakuni, his maternal uncle. as well as with his friend Karna, who always encouraged Duryodhana in his nefarious acts. Tanavir Maharaj, we would love to hear your thoughts on Srimad Bhagavatam.
Karna encouraged Duryodhana in his nefarious acts, primarily because, for many reasons, but one reason was that when Karna was not allowed to compete or not allowed to be trained even by Duryodhana or by Dronacharya in the arts of military, he felt very insulted, and it was because of his apparent birth in a low family. Actually, he was born in the same family as the Pandavas. In fact, his mother was Kunti, same mother. But that wasn't known to anyone except Kunti. So Karna went through his life he was always once when they're having a big contest at the end of their education under Dronacharya. Dronacharya was the teacher, martial teacher. He would not allow Karna to be a student. But at the end, when they had a big display, kind of like an opportunity for everyone to show how much they had learned the martial arts, at the end of the education, Karna also appeared there, but he had gotten training from Parashuram. Parashuram is the incarnation of the Lord. We discussed recently how he annihilated the whole Kshatriya race because they mistreated, because their misdeeds with his father. But Parashara, not Parashara, the incarnation of the Lord, he was teaching Karna. He taught him the right. But he also lied because Parshuram would not train anyone who was a Kshatriya. He despised Kshatriyas because they had committed so many sinful activities. So he would ask, when Karna came, said, I want to be your student. He said, so what are you? What's your family? And he said he was a Brahmana. And so Parshuram agreed to train him. But once, when Parshuram, as a teacher, was taking a little rest, And so he took rest on the, kind of leaning on the leg of Karna. Karna was happy to offer his knee there for a pillow. So Parashara was taking rest, and while Karna was sitting there was some kind of a little animal, a little insect, something. It dug into his skin, into his flesh, and began boring, and then some blood, a little bit of blood came out. And it was quite painful, but Karna tolerated it. He didn't want to disturb his teacher. So the blood was dripping down, and some of the blood dripped on Parashuram. And he said, well, he woke up. What is this? And he said, oh, there was an creature there. I didn't want to disturb you, so I just... Then Parashuram could understand. He said, you're not a Brahmin, you're a Kshatriya. Otherwise you wouldn't have been able to tolerate this pain. So he rejected him. He said, now, even though you've learned mantras from me, you'll forget them when you need them most. That was his curse. So Karna just had a very difficult time in his youth. And so going back now, he showed up at the tournament that Dronacharya was holding for all the members, all the Kurus were the sons of the Kurus and the Pandavas. They were all trained by Dronacharya. So Arjuna was considered the greatest by his teacher and by everyone. He was just a great archer. He was great in everything. Bhima was considered very powerful. And Duryodhana and his brothers were also great, but not as great. Anyway, Karna was there. Now he's grown and fully qualified Kshatriya. And Krishna even said, there's only one person that can perhaps equal Arjuna, and it's Karna. So Karna wouldn't be allowed to compete. And the reason was because of his birth, obscure birth. So he wasn't going to be allowed to compete. But then Duryodhana said, no, I make him a king. I award him the kingship of Anga. There was a region called Anga, so he'll be the king of Anga, Angaraj. Everyone, if he could do that, he was the son of the king, Dhritarashtra. So he did that. And he gave Karna that position. So Karna said, I swear by everything that I'll do anything for you. Your friendship, because you've made friendship with me, I'm so grateful I cannot repay you. He felt so good to be respected. And he competed against Arjuna, and they were equal. And so Dronacharya had to stop them, otherwise they would have killed each other on the tournament day, but it was not supposed to be a fight, it was supposed to be just a display. So then he became Duryodhana's friend. And Duryodhana loved him because he was his only hope to defeat Arjuna. Nobody else could defeat Arjuna, except possibly Karna. So this is the intrigues that were going on behind the scenes, and it made it very interesting. But Duryodhana had his friends, and Subalanena, Subal again refers to the son of Subal. He was the king of a mountainous region called Kandahar. So his son was Shakuni, and Shakuni was, as we said, a very evil person. And he gave bad advice. So if one associates with an evil-minded person, then even if he has good qualities, he loses all the good qualities. And therefore, association is so important. If one associates with persons who are against Krishna, then how can he make advancement? Therefore, the devotees, the great sages, saintly persons, they suggest don't associate. Lord Chaitanya was asked one time by a householder devotee, what is the behavior of a Vaishnava? He said, the Vaishnava is one who does not asatsanga tyaga e Vaishnavachar. Asatsanga tyaga e Vaishnavachar. The activities, the behavior of a Vaishnava is he gives up the association of non-devotees. Asatsanga. Asat, it's also used here, this word asat, means bad, it means materialistic. So if one wants to make advancement in spiritual life, he has to give up the association of the asat sangha, materialistic persons. And instead he needs to associate with the sadhu sangha. Sadhu sangha, sarva shastri koi, lavamatra sadhu sangha, sarva siddhi hoy. Association with a sadhu, saintly person, like Vidura, but he's giving up he's doing just the opposite. Instead of welcoming Vidura's association, giving up Shakuni's association in Karna, he's rejecting Vidura and bringing forth those asat. So this is another display of how one goes down in the material world by bad association and not following the scriptures. The scriptures always say to associate with the devotees. Always be engaged in the service of the Lord, do everything for the Lord. But they don't follow it. And then they wonder why they have so many problems, suffer.
Om Jnanatarandasya Jananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Lagnatam Tam Sajivam Sarvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Bhanan Sahagana Lagita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Shri Shri Gauranitai Ki Jai. So Maharaj, you were pointing out how Dronacharya was the martial teacher, and you were telling us how Parashuram was teaching Karna, and this is a main point that we should understand, that it's essential for a student to accept a qualified teacher in order to learn the science that he's trying to learn in all regards. And today is a very auspicious day. In fact, we're celebrating the teacher of Lord Chaitanya's disappearance day. We don't celebrate Srila Ishvara Puri's appearance day because it's unknown when he actually appeared on this planet. But we do celebrate his disappearance day, so we only glorify him one time a year. And it's said the highest way to please the disciple is to glorify his spiritual master. So if we want to please Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, a very high way to do that is to glorify his spiritual master that he accepted Ishvara Puri. So we can see these great personalities, Karna, and like, God himself even accepting a teacher. You might think, what is the purpose of this? Why did God come and accept a teacher? If God is God, he should know everything. But he does it in order to teach us. In fact, many of his behaviors he does in this regard, to teach us how to behave here. So, Lord Chaitanya, when he was enacting his pastimes as an arrogant scholar in Navadvip, which was the seat of all learning in those days, he was studying mostly grammar, verb rules and different things of this nature. And he became very skilled in this regard, and he started teaching students, in fact. And the Lord, after some years enacting this pastime, he decided he wanted to go to Gai, which is a holy place of pilgrimage, and there's a temple there. And he went to go visit this temple, and it was a bit of a pilgrimage. He went, and upon seeing the flowers and all of the garlands that were offered to this Vishnu deity, he began to feel loving ecstasy in his heart of the Lord. So this was one of the first times that it was, outwardly displayed in his transition into a scholarly boy, and a baby into a scholarly boy, into a devotee who's exhibiting loving devotion. So he was at this temple and he was really exhibiting a lot of love for this Vishnu deity. And all of a sudden, this great personality walks in, and it was Ishvara Puri Prabhu. And Ishvara Puri Prabhu was an ocean of love of Godhead himself. He was a disciple of Madhavendra Puri Prabhu, who is a very, very advanced devotee in our line. Madhavendra Puri Prabhu is said to be actually a Kalpavriksha tree, which we have a Kalpavriksha tree on the altar today. It's said that he's a Kalpavriksha tree in the spiritual world. He's an eternal associate of Krishna in the spiritual world as a Kalpavriksha tree. And what does Kalpavriksha mean? It's a tree that it's desire fulfilling. So it's described if you go to an apple tree, you get apples from it. If you go to a lemon tree, you get lemons from it. If you go to a Kalpavriksha tree, you can get anything you want from it. So Madhavendra Puri Prabhu, he is a very, very exalted devotee, full of the deepest love. He was, in fact, one of the first devotees in our line that exhibited the highest form of ecstatic love of God. So we can imagine those who got association with them, how glorious they are as well. And Ishvara Puri, it's said that he was, just of that caliber. So these devotees, they're completely absorbed in Krishna all the time. They're always chanting the holy names of the Lord. Their only sustenance, in fact, is the holy names of the Lord. So because of this, Ishvara Puri having known the Lord so deeply through his chanting all the time. Immediately upon meeting Lord Chaitanya at this temple, when he was appreciating the Vishnu deity, he could understand that this is a very great personality here. He could understand that he's a storehouse of all good qualities. Who is this personality, you know? So they met, and upon seeing each other in the temple, immediately they started shedding tears of ecstasy, and they embraced. And that was their first meeting. It was a nice, loving exchange. You know, Maharaj talked about the loving exchange of, I believe it was Parshuram letting Karna use his leg as a pillow. Or was it Karna letting Parshuram? Yes, thank you. Yeah, that's right. Karna letting like what a loving exchange between the spiritual master and the disciple. You know, the spiritual master is tired, the disciple supports him with his leg. You know, that's a loving exchange that sparks that student and disciple relationship. Similarly, this was a loving exchange at the temple, and they parted ways after that time, but Lord Chaitanya could understand how special Ishvarapuri was after this loving exchange. And there was one afternoon where Nimai Pandit was cooking his lunch, and he was preparing a nice lunch for himself, you know, to do his offering, and all of a sudden Ishvarapuri walks in, and he could understand that, you know, oh, Nimai's cooking lunch. And he said, I've arrived at a very nice time. You know, I'm just in time for lunch. And Nimai said, yeah, you sure are. Take a seat. You know, I cooked for you. And he's like, no. You prepared this for yourself. Why don't we just split it? Ishvarapuri says, why don't we just split the dish that you prepared, and we'll take lunch together. And Lord Chaitanya, he viewed him as his spiritual master after that first incident of meeting at the temple in Gaya. So he could understand, I would like to serve him in this way. So no, I actually prepared this for you. You're my spiritual master. Not yet he wasn't, but he was trying to serve him. So you please accept, and then I'll cook for myself after, please sit. And in that way he fed his spiritual master. And it said, well, nobody was looking. Ramadevi came in, and she cooked for Lord Chaitanya during this loving exchange that he had with his soon-to-be spiritual master, Ishvarapuri. So this was another exceptional loving exchange that went on between Lord Chaitanya and his spiritual master. And we see that these are some of the first instances that are mentioned between Lord Chaitanya and Ishvarapuri. There's some instances before that are mentioned with Nityananda Prabhu coming in contact with Madhavendra Puri and Ishvarapuri and Lakshmi Pati, his spiritual master. And it's described that the proper Vaishnava understanding is that the spiritual master, he should be honored in the same way. The spiritual master's god brothers should be honored in the same way as the spiritual master. This is a proper etiquette that is to be observed, and this is shown. There's another disciple, Ramachandra Puri, who he was another disciple of Madhavendra Puri, a god brother of Ishvar Puri. And this example is shown that the spiritual master should be honored, the same as his god brothers were. he had committed some kind of offenses, and Lord Chaitanya could understand, but he was very forgiving in his he was very forgiving, and he still honored him just the same as his spiritual master's god brother. Because that's a very high point, a very exalted position. But unfortunately, this devotee, he, we also that this is kind of a long story. Maybe not get into it, but he also shows that the offense of Vaishnava aparad will lead us away from devotee association, which is so valued, and that's what Maharaj was talking about. Um, Ramachandra Puri, he had made some offenses, right? Criticizing Lord Chaitanya's eating. When he came in contact with the Lord, he he first made offense to Madhavendra Puri, his spiritual master. This is this is where it all started. Madhavendra Puri was in the later stages of his life, and he was in complete loving ecstasy of God, in separation. That's the highest mood that he was exhibiting to show us. That's the recommended mood for the Vaishnavas worship. Um, so he was showing us this, and he was in his later years, and Ramachandra Puri came and visited him, and he saw his spiritual master was crying in loving separation, and he said, "Calm down, just think of Brahman, just be peaceful, Om Shanti Shanti Shanti." And Madhavendra Puri was like, he was like disgusted. He's like, I'm exhibiting the highest states of love of God, and you're telling me to calm down and be peaceful. Like, get out of my sight. I never want to see you again. He was really, really disgusted with him. And he told him to leave, and then he left. Ramachandra left, and then, he met Lord Chaitanya, and upon meeting Lord Chaitanya, due to the offense of his spiritual master, his material desires started coming back. This is what happens when somebody makes Vaishnava aparad, especially to their spiritual master, because like the spiritual master gives the remedy to fix all these material desires, and if we follow it, then the material desires subside. But if we stop taking the medicine and we make offenses to the person who's distributing us the medicine, then our material desires, they may return. So in this way, he went to go meet Lord Chaitanya, and upon meeting him, there's a story where they were taking prasadam, and Lord Chaitanya, he was the Lord, and he came as an incarnation of the Lord to enact loving exchanges with the Lord's devotees. That's like the most glorious, incarnation of Krishna. Coming to do loving exchanges with his devotees as a devotee, you know. So he was exhibiting this, so naturally all the devotees, they wanted to serve their master. So they would make nice preparations for Lord Chaitanya, and out of a loving exchange, he would accept it and give mercy that way. So Lord Chaitanya he was taking quite a bit of prasadam, often, because the devotees are always preparing nice loving feasts, and he would honor them, And when Ramachandra Puri came into town and he saw this, he started seeing, and he was thinking, I heard that the Vaishnavas, the followers of Lord Chaitanya, they eat a lot. And he started kind of criticizing in this way. So he wanted to see for himself, so he invited Lord Chaitanya over and his associates for, to eat, to honor prasadam. And Ramachandra Puri was serving out all of the prasadam to Lord Chaitanya, and he big vegetable preparations and sweets and sweet rice, and puris and rice and dal, and he's serving them all this feast, and He keeps pushing him, please take more, take more. Ramachandra Puri is telling Lord Chaitanya, eat to your full satisfaction. Lord Chaitanya is saying, oh no, I'm very full, I'm okay. But Ramachandra Puri, no, please take more. And more sweets, like that. And he ended up criticizing him, for eating so much. Before Ramachandra Puri was serving Lord Chaitanya, wasn't it Lord Chaitanya was serving Ramachandra Puri? Didn't he honor first? Does anybody remember this detail? Who honored first? Because they both honored. And Ramachandra Puri, he was asking for more and more and more and more. He's asking for more of this and more of that. I think he honored first. Maybe. Maybe not. But I remember that detail that, he was honoring a lot and asking for more, and then he was pushing it on Lord Chaitanya to take more. And he took a lot, and then he ended up kind of criticizing how the devotees eat prasadam. And in this way, Lord Chaitanya, he cut his eating in half. And actually all the devotees, they kind of started getting quite grave. Because, they're all honoring prasadam, knowing they're serving this, they're serving Lord Chaitanya. So the honoring prasadam is such a loving exchange with devotees that solidifies our Krishna consciousness, So the devotees are coming from that angle, and he was being criticized on how much you're eating like that. So yeah, he continued to make further Vaishnava aparad from this first offense to his spiritual master, and then Ramachandra Puri eventually fell out of the association of devotees. It's unfortunate. This happens many times, and Maharaj was stressing how important the association is, and Prabhupada was asked one time, what's the best way to make advancement in Krishna consciousness? And he said there's three things, in fact. First one is association, the second one is association, and the third one is association. So there's so many means to get Vaishnava association, and we should always be considering, am I utilizing my time in Vaishnava association properly? And we should always be eager to learn from those around us and ask in a humble and submissive state. Be eager to learn. So in that way, the knowledge can be bestowed. If there's not envy present and the people are friends, Krishna said that I instructed this science. I'm able to instruct it to you, Arjuna, because you're not envious and because you're my friend. So similarly, knowledge, it can be shared in that way, and loving exchanges through the teachers or the other sadhus, it encourages an atmosphere for proper teaching. That's the main point that I was kind of trying to make today with that I kind of saw in connection to the verse and what Maharaj was saying. And, Ishvara Puri, these different loving exchanges. So does anyone have any questions or comments? Okay, thank you for hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.